Hello and welcome to the show. I'm here in the great city of Budapest. Or, well, not really, because this is obviously not real background. But anyways, so today is Monday and oh boy, this is going to be brilliant. Because today I want to talk about very simple things, such as the geography behind salaries, purchasing power, and people moving around within Europe, and the difference between East and West. And hopefully you will find it interesting.
So the first part of this brilliant Monday episode would be to talk about that I've added a couple of new photos to my panorama section, which would be some stuff from Hungary, namely the marina that I usually go to, and my boat is kind of over there, but that wasn't the point of this photo. The way you do it, there is this dam going around Lake Tisa, and you come down, you get yourself in with a key card, and then you find your boat, ship, whatever you have, and just go on and have fun. The second picture is all about what you can see in the summer when you're on the lake, far away from the marina. And that's pretty cool, in a sense that there is this boat that is probably just sitting there because someone is fishing. And then we have all these kind of crazy plants and stuff everywhere because it's blooming season. So the water is full of these things. And of course, I might have mentioned the islands. And these trees are not in the water, they are on the islands, tiny islands that you can't get to because of the damn reed. It's quite horrible, isn't it? Well, I mean, it's beautiful, but you know what I mean. So there you go, this is the flora, and probably some of the fauna are on the surface of the water. Admittedly, this is not the best photo because I had to take it from the boat and there were waves, and you can see the waves in there, tiny curves. But yeah, that's the thing. It's probably these plants are not unique to Hungary, but if I were a proper botanist, I could tell you about each and every one of them, but I'm not. I'm just a stupid person taking some silly photos without knowing what's going on. That's the definition. That's my hobby, I suppose. And that's it. These are 3 images. I'm not particularly proud of them, but I'm happy. The second thing I want to talk about is a little bit about the geography of Hungary, or the location, because often people think that it is Eastern Europe, and by the behavior of people, like everybody is grumpy, they openly complain and things like that. Well, people do that in the Ukraine, Poland, everywhere, Romania, Serbia, you know, people like that. Although, ironically, I find that people in Serbia, especially here on the in the Novi Sad territory, where lots of Hungarians live who, you know, after the Treaty of Trianon were forced to join Serbia. They are quite happy about things, even though there is very little money in this region. I mean, in this region. Starting from the Czech Republic. Austria is fine, Slovenia is alright, but from Croatia, Hungary, Slovakia, Czech Republic, and Poland, salaries usually drop quite significantly. So you'd imagine that someone in Austria, in Vienna, which is not very far from Budapest, it's I mean, if I account for the curves and everything, because of the roads, admittedly, it's about 200 kilometers. So in 200 kilometers, which is about 110 miles or so, you drive that much, and the salary drops from 1,000 euros, I mean the minimum, to 250. And that's why in the last session, when I talked about Sopron, Győr and Szombathely, my main point was that if you live in the western part of the country, then in the western counties, you might open a shop exclusively to receive people from Austria because they have the spending power, but also they might have you might go and commute there. So I always found this quite interesting because you cross a border and things change sometimes quite a lot. I mean, a lot of people move from Budapest to London, for instance, mainly because we learn English at school. And when you're in school, you get to choose whether you learn German or English. And usually half of the class chooses German and the other half English. I was one of the students chose English. Hence, now I'm here. Although people keep asking me when I go back to Hungary, because whoever moves to London, and usually they stay within London most of the time, which is big and fun and busy. But what they usually do is, because of the huge salary difference, I mean, if you're a waiter, for instance, you can earn up to £2,000 here, but in Hungary it's what, about 400 or so, even with including tips and everything. So because of the salary difference, people often rent rooms for about £500 a month, and that means even if you go out and blow £1,000 a month, you still have a 1,000 to save. Now, if you do this for a couple of years, you have enough to sort of start getting a loan to buy a house or something. I mean, I'm sure it sounds kind of logical, at least I hope. So that's what people usually do. Now, what they don't have to do here is they don't have to move to Vienna. They don't have to, even though some people do. But you don't. You get to have your house in Sopron or maybe a small place like this, which is quite typical in Hungary. Just a couple of houses, and you get to have your place here, which is really cheap because, well, nobody wants to move here. Everybody wants to move to Budapest or something. So there is this thing that people from the east usually tend to move to the west, so from Nyíregyháza or Debrecen to Budapest, and nobody moves from Budapest to Győr or anything like that. But if you live here, or maybe Székesfehérvár, you might move to the west because Austria is close, or if you live in Budapest, because flights are quite cheap between Budapest and London, then you can just live here and go back to Hungary from time to time. Now, just to illustrate how cheap things are, and I probably talked about this before, but now in connection of what we've learned today, if one person wants to fly to Budapest and it's far away in the future, so from a Saturday to, let's go with Saturday, Sunday, it's not worth it, but you still get to spend a couple of hours at home. And let's say you choose the earlier flight and you come back with the latest possible, and that would cost you £148. But if you make the sensible decision of going from Friday till Monday, so Friday evening, Monday morning, and you have the chance to actually take half a day off or something, then it comes down to £87. Again, £87 compared to the average salary in Hungary, especially in Budapest, which is about what, £300-400. That's quite a lot, but not compared to the 2,000 you can make here. So that is the idea. I mean, I'm sure that this is not the most interesting and newest information you can get, and especially if you live in the US, you can see it. You're not really affected by whatever happens in the other side of the world, but that's what usually happens here. Now, I'd imagine that people might do that here, moving from Wyoming to San Francisco or something like that, and I don't know anything about it. People tend to move to bigger cities, but I think that Hungary is quite unique in its geographical location, because you might live in a small town and it's affected by whatever country is next to it. This is the division between East and West. So even though Hungary is supposed to be Central Europe as opposed to Eastern Europe, then I would still count it as Eastern Europe, because there is a clear division between East and West, but there is no clear division between Central Europe and Eastern Europe. It's just like salaries go down a little, maybe. But here, because of the Iron Curtain, or used to be Iron Curtain, things go down in price quite a bit. And that concludes our story.
Well, wasn't this fun? I know it was. Well, anyways, so that's it for today. Don't forget to give me suggestions, and if you have any questions, then I will try to cover them when it comes to the next episode about random things regarding Hungary. And until then, we will just return to the regular thing, which is most probably grammar stuff. But not tomorrow, because I'll be off. See you on Wednesday. Bye-bye.